Hey everyone, I'm Jennifer Chu, CAAM's membership manager. On behalf of everyone at CAAM, thank you for joining us for our Q&A with the teams of Curtain Up and Mom Fight. Curtain Up is eligible for our Festival Audience Award and Documentary Award. So to submit your vote, please use the button at the top of the video player. So we're really thrilled to have the team behind Mom Fight, writer, director Mickey Finnegan, and actress, producer Jenn with us for this conversation. And with that, please welcome Mickey Finnegan and Jenn
Hi.
Hi, Mickey. Hi, Jenn. Thank you so much for sharing your film with us and for making the time to tell us more about the film and how it came about. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us. Yeah. We've got lots of time. Well, we're all important.
Well, I mean, I want to say that I really loved the action sequences, the dialogue, and the wonderful kind of heartwarming messages that I took from the film. I thought it was just really great, and I hope that more folks everywhere are able to see it. So my first question for you both is, how did this project come about?
Sure. Yeah, so I guess I'll start by saying, I am not a mother myself, but I do have a sister who is a mother of 3. And, I see what she does, taking care of my nephews and nieces all the time. And, going through the sort of figurative struggle of what it is, I was kind of thinking, wouldn't it be fun to sort of do a movie that kind of showed the literal struggle of what these moms sort of go through, mind, body, and spirit, and the sacrifices they make. And, and then I'm a big fan of, genre films and action and superheroes and things like that. So, from that kind of amalgamation out came Mom
Fight. Oh, well, I mean, thank you for sharing kind of the backstory. And it really came through to me just how much kind of joy and just heart went into the development of the film, just on screen.
We had a lot of fun. It was for myself as an actor, I always wanted to who doesn't want to try to look like a superhero? So we did have as much fun creating it as we did.
Is this the first action comedy that you both have worked on, or individually have worked on?
I've done a lot of stuff. I feel like leans, kind of action or comedy. I've done a lot of music videos, and I've done other short films that are similar, I guess, in tone, because I guess that's sort of, the style that I end up doing. But I think that this sort of iteration being sort of like a, I don't know what you call it, a meta homage to superhero stuff is the first time I've done something exactly like this. So it was really, really fun to dip my toes into this genre.
Yeah, and this was my first action film that I've done, so stunt work and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, wow. And I would love to learn more about how the action sequences were designed, and if you can, a little bit about how you filmed them.
Yeah.
You want to start?
Well, sure. No, it's funny because Mickey's, as a director, he's a huge fan of genre films and all the Marvel and amazing action sequences in Jackie Chan. So we spent a lot of time before filming, while we were developing the idea, of watching action sequences from some of the biggest blockbuster films, and kind of just doing a lot of research that way. And then, Mickey, through his network, he knew just some really amazing people that have worked even in the Marvel universe to help us kind of put together the action choreography and things like that.
Yeah. And even kind of what you were saying, where I appreciated in the lead in to our movie, we were talking about I had some heart and some things in it too. It's that was something that was important for us. It's just making sure that when we do the action, we film it, it looks cool. We'll do all the technical tricks, but at the same time, like it's about the characters and like little character moments and beats. So that was something that, you know, we've paid a lot of attention to when filming the fight choreography is I mean, the performance, the acting, like how, you know, what are the looks and reactions that they're having at any given moment. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was another thing that I really liked was just how the characters were kind of developed and even getting a sense of each person's story, and even just a small sense of the story. And I guess in terms of the development of the characters, was there anything in addition to Mickey's sisters or anything else, anybody else in your life who Jenn, you were inspired by when you were kind of working on the character of Jackie?
I think probably my own mom. You know, when growing up, my mom she was a stay-at-home mom. She was there 24/7, just, you know, sacrificing a lot for us and trying to get, like, you know, that popular toy, you know, to make her kids happy for Christmas. And so I definitely channeled a lot of my mom into the character at a, you know, a little bit more of an exaggerated level, but she definitely was a little bit of inspiration for me.
Oh, that's so great. Has she seen it?
She has seen it. I think she's
a big fan.
Our mom's got a little teary eyed. Yeah.
Of her.
Oh, that's great. And has your sister seen it? Like your family? I mean, I assume all your families have seen it, but
we got a chance to show it to them and you know, did a little family premiere and everything, and they all loved it. The kids loved it and stuff. So it was really it was fun sharing that with them.
That's so great. So my next question is the actress who plays Kate. What qualities were you looking for when you were trying to cast that role? And
that one was a tough one because
I'll just say, like, you know, I think when we were discussing it, you know, obviously like I said earlier, like the performance is really important. But with that said, I mean, Jenn is super athletic and she's like a super talented, amazing actress, but, you know, hasn't done that many stunts yet. So we knew that we needed to find someone that could be like a good like dance partner for her. Mm-hmm. So we did go with casting someone who was a stunt person first, actress second, and then, you know, maybe we can talk about what.
Oh yeah, no, it was amazing because, you know, you had to have somebody who knew how to almost teach me how to get thrown into walls or like kicked properly and things like that. So it was really important to find someone who had been, you know, working in the stunt world for a little while. And
her name is Michaela McAllister, and she's
also in Black Widow. So she does big Marvel stuff, which was so fun to be able to work with her.
Yeah, so she's quite talented in that regard.
I mean, gosh, that scene was, I mean, those scenes were just so amazing. And I can tell that you both, like everybody who's involved, especially the two of you, are so extremely talented. So I think we have about time for maybe 1-2 more questions at the most. So I guess my second to last question is there any kind of stories or scenes that you wanted to include in the final cut of the film that you weren't able to?
Maybe the aftermath, like what happens after she gets the toy, like, you know, at home, like what's the home life like? Yeah. if we were to, it'd be fun to make it into a series, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think we got a chance to make the short that we wanted. So, you know, there might have been little things of like, oh, it'd be cool if we did this stunt here and that moment there and everything. But I think we made the movie that we were hoping.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think with that, can you please share with our audience how they can continue to follow the film and each of your individual work?
Sure. Yeah, you can follow Mom Fight at our Instagram, which is Mom Fight Movie or at Mom Fight Movie. And if you want to follow me, it's at Mickey Finnegan on Instagram, or you can go to www.mickeyfinnegan.com if you prefer websites in 2020, which I don't think anyone does. But
and you can find me on Instagram at Jenn Khloe, JennKhoe, and I have a website as well. It's jenniferkhloe.com.
So great, and thank you both again so much. I hope that everyone watching will continue to follow the film and your work. And Mickey, Jenn, please stick around for the end when we'll close it out together.
Thanks so much, Jennifer.
Thank you. Okay, so next up, we're thrilled to have joining us the director and producer of Khloe Tong and director and producer Khloe Ng. Please welcome Khloe and Khloe.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Jenn.
Hi, Khloe. How are you both doing?
We're doing
We're
great.
doing well.
Yay.
Thank you so much for joining us for the conversation, but also making and sharing this beautiful film. I am a lifelong fan of music and musicals, so I got a real kick out of everything that you were able to include in the story, from the really candid conversations to the footage of the actual production and preparation, and the interviews with the teachers and instructors. So my first question for both is, how did this film come about?
Great. So I guess I'll get started.
Yeah.
It was back in summer 2018 when Crazy Rich Asians came out, and there's all this buzz and discussion about Asian representation in entertainment industry. And I was myself a very theater enthusiast, so I was wondering what it was like in theater industry, like in New York City, right? So I just went on doing a lot of reporting work with the Asian artists in theater scene in New York. And then I came across this organization called the National Asian Artists Project, and I found out that they got a very exciting program working with a local Chinatown elementary school called PS 124. So it was basically for the kids to perform, Disney adapted Disney musicals, and I was just falling in love with the program just by seeing the introductions, and there's some pictures and videos of their past performances. So I just went out to talk with the founder of the National Asian Artists Project, Khloe, which we featured in the film, and she took me to the principal of the school, and we just had a very great conversation, about me wanting to film the kids doing. So the kids were doing Aladdin at that time. So I actually started out filming this project by shooting the kids rehearsing for Aladdin, and then Frozen was the next production after Aladdin. So yeah, that's how it kind of came together.
Oh, awesome! Thanks for sharing that backstory. Khloe.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say that I joined Hui a couple of months after he started, and at that time he already was as he mentioned, filming the kids. And so how we both met was that we were actually classmates in journalism school. So the film started out as a school project, but then we went on to sort of expand it into a feature film. And yeah, I would say that it was really timely because of the whole Crazy Rich Asians buzz, but also to a certain extent controversy around it a little bit. That really shone the spotlight on this whole question, I guess, of Asian identity and culture. So it was pretty timely.
Yeah, I think that was one thing that I really appreciated about the film, was how you were able to capture interviews with some of the kids and their families about identity, but what it means to be Asian American, and kind of the career opportunities available for Asians and Asian Americans in art. It was really interesting to see how they responded. And kind of speaking to that, can you tell us more about what the strategies you use to get the kids and their families to open up to you both?
I guess for the kids, at the very beginning, the kids didn't really get what a documentary is. So when I first entered their rehearsing room, they were thinking I was from some TV station, and I mean, they were naturally, as kids, they were naturally very open to cameras. Most of the kids, they thought I was from TV station. So I'd say for the first couple of months, I actually went pretty well, just talking to kids. But actually, the real challenges actually came after the first couple of months, because that's when they were kind of got tired of us being around, shooting like all the time, as a documentary filmmaker. But then the important thing was, in the beginning of our documentary, we went to Atlanta for the Junior Theater Festival with all the kids. So they were bringing Aladdin to the festival, and we went there with the parents, and we were living with the parents, we were having dinner with the parents and the kids themselves. So that's when we were able to really build relationship with the parents, and and that kind of like started our entrance into their families at the end.
Yeah, I think it was like mainly just like hanging out with them. But yeah, I mean, I think initially it took a while for them to like really understand what we're trying to do. Also, because this club was very much featured previously as well, like in news bulletins and things like that. So I think they just sort of like assumed that we are like that. We're just gonna be here for like a couple of sessions and we're gonna go. And then then they were like, "Oh, you're still here? Why are you still here?" But yeah, I think the trip to Atlanta really helped to sort of like foster relationships, not just with the children, but with their family, as Hui mentioned. And it was like gradually that we got, I guess, access into like their lives and like their homes behind the scenes, like behind, outside of school.
Right. Also, in terms of the issues we talk about with the kids, we were super surprised that like, Asian identities, representation, as you can see in the film, the kids, they're 10, 11 years old, but they talk about those issues themselves. Mm-hmm. We were actually very shocked that, when we mentioned those stuff, they had lights in the eyes. They knew what we were talking about. I guess that's like what's the most interesting about also the making of this film is that we found out that, they've heard about those things, race, representation, identities from their families, from all the news channels, from their like William had 2 bigger sisters, and they talk about these issues to him every day, like at home. So I guess in terms of those issues, it's kind of surprisingly easy for us to connect them. We're on the same page.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I think so. I think it's interesting that that the kids and their families were so willing and to discuss those issues and those topics. Because I mean, just personally, that was a very different experience how I grew up, but it was really fascinating, kind of their answers, and even seeing how the Crazy Rich Asians and the improvement in representation has impacted how they view their identities and the possibilities. My next question is, how did you decide on the students to follow, and how was that process for you?
Oh, should I go? Yeah. So as you would expect, I guess in a theater club there are lots of students. I think we were probably filming maybe more over 30. But I think it was not, I think it was pretty evident that some students stood out more than others by virtue of the fact that, maybe they are cast as like some of the main characters, or that they have stronger personalities, and that they were not afraid of the camera, because there were some that I guess were obviously sort of like self-eliminated from this process because they just didn't really want to be in front of the camera. But I guess it was like over time that so I think William was very obvious that we probably wanted him to be one of our main characters. I remember like when I joined Hui a couple of months into his filming, he already sort of like mentioned that, this William is a pretty strong character that we can sort of like watch out for. And then I guess the others, it was only later on that we sort of like found out that they could, either serve as an interesting contrast to. So we also wanted to cast kids that were not very similar to each other, whether in terms of like their personality, their aspirations, or also like their family background. So I think it was also like having those considerations in mind to show a diverse groups, personality types, I would say.
Right. I'd say it's not only casting the kids, but also the families, right? Because it's also a family story. So I guess, some of the kids were open to us, but their families were not that. So we were lucky to have, you know, William and Charlotte as our two like main characters, whose families are also very supportive of us. And then, you know, in terms of diversity, it's also like, we actually wanted to include more Jack's family in the film, but we couldn't. But, you know, Jack was kind of different because William and Charlotte's families came to the US, in their 20s, like earlier to like late 20s. But Jack's family was like born and raised in Australia, you know, and came to, you know, so it's like much more kind of westernized family than the other two. So in terms of diversity, we're also considering, you know, we can kind of juxtapose different, you know, types of families to really show what a, Chinatown community would be in terms of a variety.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was something else that I also really appreciated about the kids, the characters, because they did represent, like you said, all these different kinds of backgrounds in terms of how long their families have been in the United States, and even it seemed where their families came from, like in China, other parts of the world. And so it was really interesting to see how that contrast played out in the interviews that you had with their families. So I think that was awesome. I think you mentioned already some of the challenges you experienced. Were there any other kind of challenges that you had while filming you ran into?
We kind of had a trust crisis with the kids, like while into a film, like almost like about like 2 months before their performance, because I mean the kids had some very interesting interactions among themselves, and we were just too close to them. We knew everything, like in their lives and in their daily interactions with other kids. So there was suddenly some, like a week. There was a week when suddenly all the kids were feeling that we were overly stalking them. Like everyone started calling us stalkers.
They just like called us stalkers.
Called us stalkers. And it's very obvious behind the camera when we were filming them. We knew they were resistant to us. So that was like almost like 4 or 5 months into our filming, and it was like such a heartbreaking thing for us. And we actually, I guess at the end of the day, it was some misunderstanding, between us and the kids. So we actually apologized to their parents, said something. And then the next day, actually, 2 of the kids actually came to us and apologizing to us with tears in their eyes, saying like, oh, we may have some misunderstanding. We're not really calling, like, we misunderstood you as stalkers, and we understood you as just filmmakers, stuff like that. And I actually feel like that challenge brought us together even closer.
Yeah.
Actually, after that, it's like some real connection formed after that.
Wow. I mean, I think that's really interesting, but it sounds like you're as challenging as it sounds like that was. It sounds like you were able to work through it together. And I'm not a documentary filmmaker, but I'm not sure if that kind of approach is something that is important, just general, and kind of navigating the trust that you build as a filmmaker between yourself and the subjects that you're following. But it's great that you were able to work it out. And I think that's also a really important life skill. So, but glad it worked out that way. So my next question is, I really also loved the adults who you were able to interview. What was the selection process like for the instructors and the others that you featured in the film?
For the adults, I guess there wasn't exactly a selection process. Like the adults that we interviewed were, naturally the parents of like these 4 kids, the family members, and then the instructors, music teacher, 2 instructors, and like the principal. So it's kind of like everyone's like all in. We didn't really have to, in a sense, like shortlist. And I guess I would say there wasn't much of a selection process.
Right, especially in terms of the instructors and teachers, they were definitely very supportive, right?
Yeah.
We did have some difficulty with the parents, like especially Jenny. Jenny was always thinking if she's saying something wrong.
Wrong.
Like we were just keep telling her that you just say whatever that is authentic to you. Like there's no one's gonna judge you. If you feel afraid that your kids were to do arts in the future, it's very normal. Among a lot of parents, right? So it takes some time for us to talk to her and to let her be herself. So that's also quite exciting at the end. We got some really great stuff from her. So.
Oh, that's so great. And I mean, thank you both for sharing. I think we're almost out of time, but before we wrap up, please share with us how folks can continue to follow the film and also each of your individual work.
Right. So yeah, you can definitely follow our film's Instagram account, Curtain Up Film, and we'll be showing at several film festivals in October and November. So yeah. And for me personally, I'm working on a book on identity, speaking from Asian American, Chinese American, mainland Chinese, and overseas Chinese students' perspective. So you can follow that information on my personal website, huitong.me.
I'm right now based in Singapore, which is where I'm from, as a journalist. I'm more active on Twitter. You can follow me on SaysKelly, that's SaysKelly. And do follow our film on your socials.
Great. Well, I mean, thank you both. And please, to everyone watching, please make sure to submit your vote for the Audience Award and the Documentary Award, as Curtain Up is eligible for both. The winners will be announced following the festival, and share the film. And thank you, Hui and Kelly. And with that, I'd like to invite Mickey and Jenn back to join us to wrap up the program. Okay, so thank you all for sharing your films with us and taking the time to tell us more about your work. Really appreciate it. If you enjoyed today's conversation and are enjoying CAAMFest Forward, I hope you'll consider making a donation at CAAM's website, caammedia.org/donate, or joining as a CAAM member at our website, caammedia.org/membership. Your support makes programs like this possible. And with that, thank you all. Please continue to follow the festival and CAAM. Thank you.